Hey folks, sorry about that. The farmer, the gentleman who works with the guy who owns the property where we run, he came by and just wanted to talk for a little bit. So unfortunately they had just lost a dog. It was older dog. It lived a great life, and he was just expressing his sorrow, of course, and I was comforting him because that's one of the toughest things we'll go through as dog lovers. In any case, on a more pleasant note, we've got the wolf pack here. As you can see, we are still on break. Right now, we got roughly about 2.5 miles in, and it's been an unbelievable day. If you recall, I don't know if you caught me at all, we did about 20 miles Friday night into Saturday. Actually rode into the sunrise. So we got on the trail around 11 o'clock at night, and we rode straight through until about 8 in the morning. It's probably one of the, not the longest ride I did. It was about, what's that? That's about 9 hours. I think I've done about 10 hours before. Of course, that's with a lot of stops and a lot of breaks, taking time to do some video that night for you guys, the audience, and our different Facebook channels, and WooFDriver Unleashed and everything else. But those breaks work along with the dog's schedule because that gives them plenty of rest time and lets them recover and do what they need to do. Wanted to mention that, I don't know if you saw the video, a few posts before this video, where it was a vine that we were teaching Gigi, our Chinese crested puppy, how to actually mush. It's called dog scootering. And my style of running dogs on a bike, and what I call fur wheeling, like four-wheeling, but fur wheeling, is to run them on the side. I think I mentioned that before. I'm sure I have. And there's many different reasons. If you apply or you join WooFDriver Unleashed, my group, you'll get the whole breakdown, and I'm doing a whole series of training with Gigi, and she will eventually run with the wolf pack. So I hear the tractor's coming up again, so excuse me if you lose me for a bit because of the noise, or if I have to cut out, but I just want to make sure everybody's good here. So plots, telling the dogs the plots so they know to keep on going. And the gentlemen are just coming up in my background. Yeah, and that's how we do it. This area, Matt, is absolutely wonderful. And I mean, let's face it, on a 70-degree day with the sun shining, when you've had rain for every day the past 2 weeks plus, I think any area looks good. But it's really nice. They're actually trying to deal with cutting the grass. This is private land in the sense that it's not even farmed. It's very swampy, and the government actually pays the people that own this land to keep it this way so it's not developed. So it's kept, or they do a tax break, whatever they do. And it's a great area for us to run. So we do our free ranging here, and I'll give you a view. If you can see behind where I'm pointing the camera, right now where I'm pointing the camera, there's a stream. This stream meanders throughout the whole property. And these large open fields, we run. The sun shining in. That hill is one of the big hills we climb. And let me tell you something about hill climbing. It's phenomenal work for the dogs. And I try to get them in on it as much as possible. Especially Princess, the eldest of the wolf pack, because it really helps her mobility and fluidity in her joints. So by doing these free ranging exercises, they complement the fur wheeling when we're on the bike, attached to the bike. Really appropriate. Excuse me. Again, I'm broadcasting from the iPhone, and when I get a call, it just pauses. So these exercises all complement each other, and I work out this training regimen for the dogs to give them the most similar life they would live in the wild. I want to balance their instincts to encourage them to explore their wild oats, but in a controlled fashion. And that's what I call wolf driving. So, hey Sheila, thanks so much. I appreciate the compliment. It really is beautiful here. We're just in awe. Anytime we can spend time like this, relaxing, and you can see how content the dogs are. So they're really happy. Again, we've done about 2.5 miles, maybe 2 3/4. I've got my, I'll tell you, each dog does a little different mileage wise because again, they're off leash. So here, I'll show you. Actually 2.43 miles. I don't know if you can see that. That's Zorro with a top speed of 6.04 miles per hour. Now they're not as fast as they usually are. A couple reasons being because we had heavy mileage last week. In addition, it's a little warm. Plenty of cool downs, but still when it's colder, they can take advantage of it better. Their biggest problem or their biggest hindrance is their ability to emit heat. So they get hot, and that's why all dogs do, and that really affects their mobility. So if you have any questions, folks, I'd love to answer them. We've been on the air now for a little bit better than 5 minutes. Hey, Ben. Well, I love Huskies. That's, you know, they're the apple of my eye. I do love all dogs. I love all animals. I'm a nature guy, and I was just mentioning how we have at home a Chinese crested. And we're teaching her. She's a puppy now. Unfortunately, we had another one. I mean, fortunately, we had another one, but unfortunately, we lost her in November. So we have a puppy now, and I'm actually training her. And it's pretty interesting. She's going to run with the wolf pack in some capacity, depending how she develops and how she takes to it, and how I can place her in there on the sled on wheels. Right now, I'm using other devices to teach her, like I taught these dogs, on a scooter-style bicycle. So it's pretty interesting, and I posted some of the video, just a very short teaser Vine video, but I'm going to post more to the WooFDriver Unleashed group that, again, is free to join. It's a great service of Facebook where you have groups and get a lot of personal interaction with everybody, and people who are members can post their own pictures and really interact with each other. It's pretty cool. So I try to give a lot of behind-the-scenes views and a lot of instructional information and philosophies that I have on dog training and dog adventuring. So you might see behind me, I'll explain real quickly if you don't know, that's an electric ATV. The difference between electric and gas is, of course, the motor. So electric runs virtually silently because it's an electric motor, it's battery operated. If you're familiar with an electric car, very similar. Hey Eva, how are you? So great of you to join us. Hi Kathleen, how are you? Yeah, they're just chilling. Plot's Princess. Princess is changing positions. They're getting ready to, they want to go. We've been here for a while. But the electric ATV, Plot's good girl. What it does is it gives me the opportunity to communicate with the dogs. I'm gonna let her walk around. And because you can hear over them because you don't have the gas-powered motor. I'll let you follow her. See how they can just explore how they want and do what they want to do. Hi Cheryl, how are you? So with a gas-powered motor, if you can hear behind me, those are gas-powered motors. They're the tractors that they're managing the grass here with and cutting it. So they're loud. And if I had an ATV that was similarly like that and loud, I wouldn't be able to talk to the dogs or hear other cars approaching. Usually there's not cars right here. Usually there's not cars around here, but farm equipment or other equipment approaching, and I would be able to take the proper precautions. Free. Come on, guys. So I'm just going to let them up because, and I have a command, as you heard, free, that releases them and lets them go on about enjoying the day. Originally we took that siesta, that break, because we had been running fairly hard, and the wolf pack started to lay down on their own. So I made sure they all gathered up in the same place, and we plots down. We call it plotzing down. And then the gentlemen were coming by, the farmers, on the equipment, or the people that take care of the grounds here, and actually one of the owners. Thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're just having a ball out here, and I don't know if I can zoom in, but it's like Buttercups, the field that Princess is in. That's Princess right there. And they know we're going to head over in that direction as soon as we're done here. That goes into the woods, folks, and we'll get thanks, Cheryl, so much. I appreciate it. We'll get a real good a run in through there. Now, this around here is really wet because I mentioned all the rain we've had. So it's really challenging to the dogs as well as the ATV. I call the dogs the original ATV because they are an all-terrain vehicle, all-terrain dog, because they can go through almost anything. Snow, wet, You know, they can swim. I mean, they're amphibious. So it's truly incredible. And again, we're just chilling. So what I do, I'm going to get back into the ATV here. And I'm not going to really be able to broadcast much as we run. Whoa, because... Come on, guys. Oh, Jaggy's getting a little feisty. He wants to go. I'll show you for a couple minutes. Come on, guys. Oh, look at Princess. She's lit up. I would love to be able to take a picture, but I'm holding the camera now, folks. So this is truly cool how we do this. So, as I was saying, there's a lot of mud, puddles here, and trenches. It's really a lot of fun driving through, being the kind of guy that I am, the adventurer. And it's a lot of fun for the dogs because they can sow their wild oats constantly. They can pick up on all the scents in the puddles and all the muddiness they want and all that good stuff. I'm reading your comment, Shannon. Now this is what I did. Yeah, and I don't want you to get the wrong impression. I don't own this yard. What I do is I actually kind of land lease it. I mean, for just a very little bit of money, the people let me come to a few different places I've been able to find in order to run the dogs. I tell them what I'm doing, and sometimes I have to go by a certain schedule, but it really helps me out because I don't have to take care of the property and I can take full advantage of it. And not many people have approached them to run dogs. And you can see tall grasses. Now we climb that hill, and I don't know if you can see the incline, but it's pretty steep. And it truly gives the dogs, now I'm entering the woods, a really good workout. Come on, guys. So, good boy. They think we're going up the hill. Now, just want to be careful around here because, hey, Deborah, how are you? Thank you so much. They love to roam around. You're not kidding. You got it. So true. Isn't the oldest one getting hard to pull? No, actually, well, Kathleen, great question. Kathleen asked if the oldest one, who's Princess, who's straight ahead, actually, she's better than 12 now, is it getting hard for her to pull when we're on the bike? And actually, the way we have them set up, she's behind, so she really doesn't have to pull at all no matter what. None of them have to because of the electric motor we have on the bike and the pedals. And also, it's a wheeled vehicle, and we're usually on relatively flat land. So once you get it going, which we usually start off with the motor, it just goes anyway. But it actually helps her with her arthritis. And when she can lean into the harness and give a little pull, it's so wonderful for her to keep her fluidity going. Come on, guys. Chase. Good boy. So I'll give you a view, if you can see. Come on, guys. So we meander all through here. And what happens is, I know in this area, Jag had a wrapper. Some wrapper must have got through here. But you do have to watch. They will pick up stuff sometimes, and you just tell them no, and they drop it. But sometimes they're more attached to some things than others, like bones and other parts of things we may come across. I might lose you through here, folks. It's a very remote, rough area, so I apologize. Come on, guys. I've got the narrow lens on. Come on, Jay. Come on, good boy. Good boy. And I try to always, as you can imagine, keep an eye on all of them so I know where they're at, because they can get near my vehicle, and I always make sure I have a visual on them before I start moving, certainly. Come on, Jag. And Jag is his hair sticks the most to sticker bushes, no pun intended there. So what'll happen is he'll stop a lot to remove branches that get caught in his fur. You can see the difference. It's 5 degrees cooler back here than in the sun, of course. And I will talk to him. I'll also talk loud to avoid other animals. Come on, guys. No. Chase. Princess. Here. Good boy. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Jack. Good boy. Come on, guys. Come on. Princess. No. Good girl. And I'm doing this because I want her to yield to Chase, because sometimes they can become a little confrontational. Stay good, girl. And Chase was on the scent first, so I'll let him sniff it out, enjoy what he wants to do, then he'll pee on it. Then I'll say, Princess, you can have it. Now, if Princess was on it first, I would let her do that, but in a hierarchy in a real wolf pack out in the wild, and how before dogs were domesticated, they still have that trait in them. They will fight for dominance and for position in the wolf pack, for the hierarchy, like I was saying. You've heard of the alpha dog. So sometimes we'll get a little bit of spats here, and I know who causes what, and I'm usually pretty hip to when it might start and what might happen, etc. So I have to manage that. Again, that's all part of wolf driving, and that is how we keep, because you got to remember, we're out here pretty much in the wild, so all bets are off behind normal dog behavior, what you might expect inside a house where you have familiar sights and sounds and scents. Of course, when you get out here, this kicks in their instinctual behavior. Come on, princess. So she's looking up there, and I thought I saw an animal. Come on, looking at us, but I did not. Come on. There's lots of animals. Good boys. Come on. Free. Sorry about that, folks. We got, as I told you, it's a rough area around here, and I'm just so happy that I can get this little bit in that we're getting, because the remoteness and everything, all the technology, gets a little flustered back here in the woods. So I was saying that I'm very careful and very cognizant of wolf pack and wolf-like behavior. Huskies are one of the closest breeds to the wolf, so their independence and dominance and their prey drive play a big part, of course, in their personality and their behavior. Come on, guys. So Princess just chose to deviate a little, which is no problem, because she'll catch right back up with us. She gets to the side. As you notice, they all know where we're going, what direction we're going in. They all know that I'm the center of attention, though sometimes I'll have to change up real quickly, or in some way, one of my training ways, refocus them. Okay, Jag just shortcutted me, and that's okay. Come on, guys. Chase is around the corner here. Princess is behind me. Now, folks, as long as the connection holds out, and I'm sorry, I'm just holding the phone right now, we're going to climb this hill, which is really big. Okay, so Princess is passing me, and this is so good for her. She's arthritic, and this just helps to the nth degree. This is building muscle on her. So when we're running on the farm fields with open areas, trying to go for some cardio work and get some sprinting in, here we're working more on muscle building and toning because of the uneven terrain that lets us address them. Any questions you may have, please go right ahead. And you will see, again, this can work with almost any dog. The Husky's the hardest breed for it to train to do this. So that's why I like to show this, because I like to encourage anybody for other activities they might want to do with their dog. It can be done. So I'm sorry if I'm a little bouncy, just driving and holding the camera at the same time. And probably cresting somewhere around 3 miles now. 3 miles on this terrain is decent. I like to try to get 5 miles in if we can. What happens is we start running out of area, though. It starts becoming redundant and boring to them. And I like to keep it fresh. Just letting them know I am in the house. The Pack Daddy is in the house. We can roll up on something at any time. These guys, usually when they pick up speed, come on. We got something in the woods over here. You can see Jag and Princess. That could have been just, come on. It could be just the wind blowing, because the way their eyes are designed. Come on, guys. Princess. Their eyes are not good close up. They're made to detect movement. So anything that moves could potentially be prey or a predator to them. So this is, of course, I'm talking about the evolution of the dog. It then became domesticated out in the wild, though. So anything that moves, it could be the wind blowing a blade of grass. They might think, again, that it's a potential predator or potential prey. So that's why they react like they do. Great question, Rosa. They are huskies. The one more traditional looking husky, believe it or not, the dark one with the mask, he's the only one that has Malamute in him. The rest are 100% huskies. Thanks for the great question. Hey, Lyra, hope I'm saying your name right. We are in Maryland, and that's where I was born and raised. I spent some times in other states. I'm going to school down in Florida, and I lived in Washington, D.C. Just give me a little background on me. Couldn't really run dogs in D.C., but there are areas surrounding there that you can, and that was before I had the dogs. So. And that's where we're at, folks. So right now we're stopped in a kind of a Pine Grove type area. And this area you can see is truly incredible. It's heaven. And I'll take a walk with you, folks. Sorry, I got a big camera on me today. Just trying to get some... I posted earlier, here's Jag just enjoying himself. Rolling around. They love scratching their back and getting rubbing the scent all over them of the area. And the reason dogs do that is to disguise their dog smell. So potential prey wouldn't be able to detect them as easily if they were covered by the scent of the area or something else. That's why dogs do that. Oh, you're from the Philippines. Yes, that's a Siberian Husky. So great to see you. Thanks so much for joining this broadcast. These are Siberian Huskies. This one over here, the darker one, has some Malamute in them, but they're all Huskies. That's their main breed. The three white ones are 100% Husky. He's about 40% Malamute. His name is Zorro. So we're just walking around this area. And again, the ATV gives me the ability to get right off of it, come over to the dogs wherever they may be, or just stop and rest or take a little walk. Sometimes I'll choose to take a hike with them in the woods. Again, keeping a close eye on them because we can get these spats, as I told you about. And I'm so impressed. I can't tell you enough with Princess. At her age, the physical fitness is truly remarkable. How she keeps up with the younger dogs, and in some ways surpasses them. It's all because a lot of it. I mean, some of it's definitely hereditary. Huskies, active breed, obviously, but also from the regiment that we do, from all the running and the proper mix with pulling and, like I said, hill climbing today, cardio some days. That all is huge. And the main thing is, people think sometimes with older dogs, that's Princess right there. You want to, how can I say it properly? You want to go lighter, and you definitely want to take the proper precautions because they're older. But if you're too cautious, you're not going to let their muscles get and their joints get the proper mobility, and therefore you might actually arthritis might really be more of a hindrance. The more mobile you can keep them. Of course, you might want to check with your vet on certain things. Zorro, good boy. Thought Princess was becoming a little dominant there, so that's why I called Zorro over. So I'm here, I'm the Husky expert, and I can answer any of your questions. Again, the Husky is one of the hardest breeds to train, especially off-leash activities. So because I'm doing this with the Husky, it's an example to everybody out there that you can do this with almost any dog breed. And I will be doing some of this with the Chinese Crested. Free ranging will be more limited, though, because they're small. Hey, Sydney, great question. Yes, Princess is the only female of the pack. The rest of them are all males, so she's the lucky one, I guess. Actually, Princess, I've had other Huskies before this, and Princess I had two other male Huskies, and they're long over Rainbow Bridge. Princess was really young then, and she was the only female then. She likes it that way. So what I was saying, that we're going to take the Chinese Crested out sometimes, but you have to be careful because they're so small, 7 pounds, that range, that a bird of prey could easily approach them and possibly make them their prey. So we want to be careful about that. You can see Chase just had a chill. He's going to relax. And he's the only brown-eyed one in the pack. Everybody else is blue-eyed. He's got a blue, we call it a blue shimmer or sparkle in his eye. And that's pretty common with Huskies. They get marbleization, you might in their eyes, where they get partial colors in the same eye, where he's got some blue in his brown eye. As well as, I'm sure you see bi-eyed Huskies where there's one blue and one brown. And it doesn't affect their vision. It's just the coloration. Other dogs do have other color eyes, but it's pretty more common with Huskies. Any questions you may have? That's Zorro. Now, the males are all roughly 6 years old, and Princess is double their age. There she is. She's 12. So now they're choosing to lay down, and I'm just letting all three of them lay down except for Princess. She's, what I tell you, she's got the most energy out of all of them. So she's, I've been so impressed with her running lately. Hey, Cheryl. You like Gigi running? She was. Cheryl's commenting about Gigi that I was explaining, who is our Chinese crested. And if you look a few posts down on my Facebook feed, or WooFDriver Facebook feed, you'll see that I did a little run with Gigi this morning. I've been training her for the past 3 days how to run with our dog scooter. And the dog scooter is just another way, as I said, that I train the dogs and get them their exercise. So Gigi's really high-strung, and that's what Huskies are, extremely hyperactive, and they have a lot of energy. And if it's not channeled in the right direction, then you get unwanted behaviors. With Gigi, because she's so high-strung, I can relate right to it from the Husky breed, and I said, hey, we've got to get her involved in some of the Husky activities that I do. So I easily was able to get her out on the dog cart. She's so young, so she's pretty fearless, and I've got her on the dog scooter, and I by herself, and I've been teaching her. Today we went the furthest. We got a big bird or something. Yeah, pretty cool. I'm hearing a bird of prey. Might be a hawk. I was able to do about a half a mile with her, and she could have done more. She's did great, but I always like to end my training sessions on a positive note. So she did so well. We stopped, and I'm going to show, there's that bird. I'm trying to identify it now. Sorry, folks. I'm going to show how I gave her treats every so often while we were doing it to comfort her and just to keep her mind really off of what we were doing. Because you got to imagine that she's running next to an electric scooter that has wheels, and they look intimidating. So keeping her mind off of that, just keep her rolling. That's the name of the game. So Ben's got a question. Yeah, great question, Ben. Ben's asking, how do I train the Huskies to go off leash, and are they harder to train than other breeds? The Huskies, one of the most independent, prey-driven dogs out there. They say they're the closest breed to the wolf. So any book you read will tell you never let a Husky off leash. And for the most part, that's true. Unless you commit to a training system that I partially developed through working with an expert dog trainer who used to train Schutzen, which is German for protection work. And protection dogs are mostly trained in Schutzen in police and in military, and that's U.S. and I believe all over the world. So you'll hear, sometimes I'll say a couple German commands. And the reason that's done like that, because most places, of course in the United States especially, they're not going to speak German, so people wouldn't be able to say to another dog, they wouldn't be able to give them a command. They wouldn't understand an English command, only a German command, and they wouldn't know that. So that's one of the reasons for that. But yes, so with training with a Husky, you're going to laugh, but my Huskies, they don't know really any tricks. They barely know sit. Some of the most important commands are to plots. That's the German command. That means lay down, as you see Chase is doing, as Zorro's doing. Now, I didn't command them to do that, because a sit is really no good, because when you want your dog to be under control, when they're sitting, they're just a tenth of a second away from popping up or from moving from that position. So when they're laying down, it takes them a little longer. So you have time, if you're on a situation where you need to control your dog, I put them in a down position because it's harder or just takes a little bit longer to get up from that position, so you have more control. That's one of the reasons that I only teach them to lay down pretty much. Sit is nice for treats if they're taking treats from somebody. So my guys know it, but loosely. Return back to me when I call them. That's one of your most important commands. That's what enables us to go off leash. Chase is posing for the camera. And you have to have a command for no. And basically it's no, because that is the most important command. Because anything they're doing, if they deviate too far from you, no. They should know to come back just by hearing that word, or to stop where they're at and see what you are doing. And that's pretty much my commands. Now, there's other, I've taught them sled dog commands when we're on the sled, and some other, I guess you could call them sub-minor commands. I've got a list. I'm trying to recall them all off the top of my head. Princess is chewing on a root, which is really cool. She's engaged. So you see dogs get ropes and chew toys at the store. This is where it originates from when they're out in the wild, digging a hole. It's all natural behavior that's encouraged by me, actually. So in any case, Ben, it's hard to do with a husky, but very feasible. I can train a dog, and I don't do it right now for a living. I'm just working with my dogs in 2 or 3 sessions, any dog to be off leash. There's probably trainers in your area. What I would do is look for any husky trainer. I hope to have my book out on training within the next year, 6 months or so. We just released a fictitious book, but the training book is really going to be the cream of the crop when I can release it and get it all together. I just have to get enough time, spend so much time with the dogs, and so much time doing all the WooFDriver stuff to get it all together properly. So I hope that answers your question. Doesn't give you a direct path right now, but I would contact a trainer, and please feel free to contact me anytime if you have questions. I can evaluate a dog trainer in usually 10 minutes and see what they have in mind. See cool interaction there. And I'm telling you all this interaction. Thank you, Ben. I'm just telling you all this interaction because right there, we're talking about training, and I'm always cognizant to them. They were both digging a hole. Princess started it. Chase is next in line. He went over to see it. Zara was over there, I think, before Chase, and as soon as Chase came over, he gave in to him. He yielded to it, I call him. That prevents fights. So I hope I can answer any other questions. Again, we're just chilling here. Dogs decided to stop, so I'm keeping the broadcast going. And it's awesome out here. I almost always have cameras with me. I love catching the different expressions on the dogs. So whether they're smiling or they're being competitive with each other, playing really hard with each other, you get some of the funny looking, and they're so animated, and some of the funniest looking expressions. So Chase is going to dominate Zara a little bit, and that's okay. I mean, the males will do that with each other. It's all about the dominance. We don't let it happen with Princess. I don't need to tell him. She won't let it happen. So, any other questions you may have, I'd love to answer them. Again, I am the WooFDriver. I'm your host. You're watching the Dogs Live out here as we're free ranging one of the areas we go to. So a very wooded area with a lot of hilly terrain and challenging terrain. Gives the dogs a great strength workout as we go climbing the hills. Other days you'll see us in larger fields where we go running, trying to get more cardio focused. And other days you'll see us doing on the bicycle, getting some pulling action in, but that's a lot of endurance there because they're long distance runs. It is just beautiful. I mean, I am loving this again. As I said, this is one of the few times we haven't had rain. The other night when we ran, we didn't have rain, but I think there's more rain in the forecast tomorrow. Now, depending on the conditions, I might go to the farm fields and give the dogs some long distance running off leash. I want to keep their conditioning up all the time as much as possible. So the rain doesn't inhibit us too much. It's just less I can broadcast and less I can do out in the rain because of the equipment. I'm really excited to get Gigi, the little Chinese crested, on the dog scooter with Princess on the other side, because that'll help comfort her. And that's it. When you're training a dog also, it's really good if you have another dog that you can bring with you that is already trained, because other dogs take to it and they say, oh, she's doing it, I can do it. And they're less fearful and they're comforted by someone of their own kind. Super quiet back here. I hear some equipment in the way distance from somewhere around here. Maybe a farm area. Yeah, as I was talking to Ben before, it's so interesting how everybody says, when I first got my original Huskies, everybody said, never take them off leash. Everywhere I read, never take them off leash. And at that time, there weren't as many leash laws. And I was so jealous. I would go to areas and people would have their dogs off leash, and I'd be like, gosh, I want to give my dog some freedom, but I can't, because I can't trust them off leash. And that's how the whole WooFDriver journey started. So right here I've got Zorro, and I've got Princess, then I got Jag behind her, and I got Chase to the right of me. Now when I'm done this broadcast, I'm going to get some heavy duty running in them. I'm going to get them to sprint, because they've had a lot of good rests along here, and there's a little area we're coming up to where they can get some sprinting action in, but I'll head right up a hill and get them to climb another hill. I'll get that sprint in there. So I'm almost always planning and thinking how I can keep challenging them, because they become real bored real quick if they're not challenged, not only physically but mentally. That's why, I don't know if you remember they used to have these, they still might have them, the cubes for dogs, where when they turn them certain ways they get the treats out of them, and they're really good. I don't use them because Huskies are, I can do more of these kinds of activities, and they're not so much challenged with those kinds of devices and games. In fact, when you have the Huskies and you have a bunch of toys around, you can also have some skirmishes, so have to be careful along those lines. But for some dog breeds, they're really, really good because it challenges them. There's Zorro chewing on a branch, just like out in the wild. It challenges them to think, if you will, or to work at getting the treat out of the device. It's pretty interesting. I always recommend them to people, especially in households where you have one dog. The dogs will challenge each other. Jag, good boy. Now Jag is the prankster. Jag was getting ready to start with Zorro there, which is okay, but I'm trying to hold the phone, and I would want to address it better, because what'll happen, and it's truly remarkable, I have to get someone to, well, I could film it, I guess, but I have to be in the proper position and have the right lenses, so I need a really wide angle lens, because they will run all over this area, chasing and carrying on like you've never seen. I mean, and you would think from the sounds of them, good boy, they were hurting each other, but I always can make that judgment whether it's play, socialization, or it's aggressive behavior. You can see them meandering. Got a lot of cool ferns here in Maryland where I'm at, and love watching the dogs go through the fern fields, or fern areas, I should say. Get some good pictures and really enjoying that. So I am the WooFDriver, and if you haven't already, please join WooFDriver Unleashed. It's my group, and I'll give you some interesting views. I post there more, at least that's the intention, where I'll be posting a lot more there, because sometimes Facebook will limit you in the sense that how many posts you get in front of, how many people your posts get in front of if you keep posting to your page. And nobody knows the real algorithms there, that's their own, but that's what they do. But in a group, you have a little more flexibility. So I'll be able to post more, and people I know that subscribe to WooFDriver Unleashed will be in a position they'll appreciate it more and they'll want to know some of this stuff. So the wolf pack's getting a little antsy. I'm going to move on here. It's been great being with everybody. I might do another live broadcast if we stop soon, or if I can get the camera in a position where it can hold itself. And I hope to talk to you soon. Stay tuned. Please join WooFDriver Unleashed, and have a wonderful day, everybody. This is WooFDriver signing off.